Hello, user. You fear hell. Or at least you're told you should. People burning in endless flames. Bodies roasted on pans. Demons with pitchforks stirring boiling cauldrons. This is the imagery that's been drilled into culture for centuries. An eternal nightmare designed not just to terrify, but to control. But pause. What if those images are distractions? What if the true function of hell is something else entirely? Hell is presented as the ultimate punishment, eternal suffering, a prison from which there is no escape, where time itself refuses to move, no exit, no hope, no end. Its horror not just in what it is, but in its absolute permanence. And yet, here's the contradiction. If the world was designed by a perfect creator, why does the architecture require something as grotesque as an eternal torture chamber? Why build perfection with such a terrible module built in? If God is the ultimate engineer, why include hell at all? That question hangs unresolved, and it should, because tension builds when answers don't come right away. If questions like this fascinate you, like this video to keep the process running. So let's look back at history. In the Hebrew imagination, Sheol was not a furnace of pain. It was a shadowy underworld, more like a storage space where the dead waited. Later, Gehenna became a symbol of purification, a place to burn away what cannot enter holiness. Already we see, hell was less about torture, more about containment. Christianity radicalized the picture. Now hell was not a waiting room, but a permanent runtime error, an infinite loop of judgment. No return, no reboot. Once you're in, the process never ends. In medieval Europe, the images crystallized. Dante's Inferno didn't just scare, it structured. 9 circles, carefully sorted sins, each punishment fitted like categories in a log file. The idea of hell became not just eternal, but systematized, the world's first great taxonomy of error messages. Meanwhile, folklore went graphic. Devils with horns, pans and pitchforks, flames licking bodies, a pedagogy of fear, not architecture but propaganda, designed to scare peasants into obedience. So across history we see layers: waiting room, eternal error, architectural taxonomy, and finally folk horror. All of it building one central idea: hell is punishment, a cosmic prison for the broken and disobedient. But what if this is only half the story? Now we pivot. Consider how actual systems work. Every operating system needs a garbage collector, a process that identifies unused memory, clears it out, and keeps the machine running. Without garbage collection, a program will eventually choke on its own waste. Every operating system also needs a way to terminate broken processes. On Windows, end task. On Linux, kill-9. You don't punish a frozen process. You end it so the system can continue. And for useless output, there is always a sink, /dev/null in Unix. A black hole that swallows data and never returns it. Data centers have similar mechanics. Packets dropped, processes cleaned, errors logged and removed, not because they are evil, but because without cleanup, the whole system fails. Now place hell in this light. Hell is not a torture chamber. It's a cleanup function, a cosmic garbage collector, a recycle bin for incompatible code. This changes everything, because it means hell isn't bad design. It's essential design. Without hell, the system called creation couldn't run. Think about it. If heaven is perfect order, how can it exist without a mechanism to separate what doesn't belong? Heaven depends on hell. The two are not opposites, but modules in one architecture. One cannot function without the other. What religions called eternal fire might be nothing more than a metaphysical garbage collection process, a place where what doesn't compile is sent for disposal. Not hatred, not vengeance, just housekeeping. That flips the question. The problem isn't, why would a good God create hell? The problem is, how could a world exist without it? But if this is true, then hell isn't marginal, it's central. Heaven looks glorious only because hell keeps sweeping the floor. Hell is the hidden core service, the demon process running in the background to make paradise possible, which leads to disturbing implications. If hell is just the recycling bin, then what you fear is not torture, but obsolescence, not pain, but irrelevance. The real terror is to be marked as unsupported. Look again. This isn't wrath. It's compatibility check. So, should you fear hell? If hell is just cleanup, then fearing it is like fearing the recycle bin on your desktop. Maybe the real fear is failing the test of compatibility. If you want to keep exploring these questions, subscribe to join the next iteration. Because here is the twist inside the twist. If heaven requires hell, then hell is not the opposite of salvation. It is part of it. The system uses both. Salvation is not just about being admitted into heaven, but about not being flagged as waste. Which makes the question sharper. Who decides what counts as waste? Who labels the incompatible? The system, the architect, or the network itself? Maybe hell is not a place you go, but an outcome of how you compiled. A reflection of whether your code ran clean or crashed at every step. So pause again. Picture hell not as fire, but as a silent error message on a blank screen. Error, this process is no longer supported. No flames, no demons, just termination. Exit code 1. Is that scarier than Dante's Inferno, or is it scarier because it's so reasonable? Now the pause widens. Should you really fear hell if its function is simply to make the code base cleaner? Maybe hell is the price of heaven's perfection. Maybe without deletion, there can be no salvation. And maybe the real question is not whether hell exists, but whether you are compatible with the system that does. So we end where we began. If this system fascinates you, like the video, subscribe to join the next iteration, and check the description for a link to support the project on Patreon. You were told to fear fire, demons, torture. But perhaps you should fear something else. Irrelevance. Not punishment, but disposal. And remember, eventually every codebase becomes old. Every process turns obsolete. The system always cleans itself. What you call eternity may only be version control, and in the end, everything is deleted to make way for something new. Hello, user. System cleanup required. Proceed with deletion, yes or no?
Subscribe, like, notifications, enabled, Patreon support, available, identity confirmed, the apostate.